Okay, is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, last discussion, you have tackled about quartile of ungrouped data. So who can recall what is quartile? What is the quartile of a data? Anyone from the class? Quartile of the data. So a quartile of data. Okay, yes, Miss Hilo.
The quartiles are the perpoints which divide a division into four equal parts.
Okay, thank you. So a quartile of data is a measure of position that divides the distribution into four equal parts. And also we have learned about how to solve for a certain quartile of an ungrouped data. So, for example, we have this following data. So, if we are going to look for the second quartile, what should we do first? Yes, Miss. Is ito pangalan mo? Yes. What should we do first?
First, we can arrange the numbers.
Okay, very good. First thing to do is to arrange the data. So, in this example, the data are already arranged in an ascending order. So after we arrange the data, what we do next? We are going to solve for the second quartile. What should we do next?
Find the formula.
Okay, find the, yes, Miss Iskandalo? Ano to?
Find the formula.
Find, okay. We'll use the formula. Formula in order to get the position of the second quartile. So the formula is QK is equal to K over 4 times the quantity of n plus 1. It is the formula in solving for the position of a quartile of ungrouped data. So since we are looking for the second quartile, the value of K is equal to 2. Okay, very good. And then, since we have 7 datas, or let's say, mga age na sila, let's say that we have 7 ages, so the value of n will be 7. Correct? Okay. Then, if we solve the equation, we'll get the 4. The quartile 2 will be in the 4th position. Okay, as we solve the equation, do you have any question about the solution? Do you have any question about the people at the back? Okay. None. Okay. So the position of the quartile 2 of the given data is in 4th. Am I correct? Okay. And then if we are done looking for the position, what we do next? It is not the value, it is still the position. So the next thing to do is to
Repeat the position.
yes.
To find the position, the concentration of the data.
Find the
For position.
okay. We'll go Mr. Marquez. So why are you late? Okay, just seated. So we are in the review of the quartile of ungrouped data. So when we have the position, next thing to do is to locate for the value. Am I correct? Locate for the value. So how we are going to locate? We just simply count up to 4 since the quartile 2 is in the 4th position. So what is the value of the quartile 2?
17.
Very good. It is 17. So in some cases, the position is found in between two data. Diba? Example, if the quartile 2 is located in 4 point something, 4.50th. So what should we do with that? Sa ato buhaton if the data are found in between two data. Another hand? What should we do? Yes, interpolate. We will interpolate the data. Okay, is that clear? Any questions?
None.
Okay. What if we have a lot of data? Let's say not only 15, not only 30 data, but hundreds of data. Or let's just say thousands of data. Can we still solve for a certain quartile of a data? Using the previous, the learned method of solving quartile of data of ungroup data. Can we still solve? Makasolve pa ba ta? If we have hundreds or thousands of data, can we? Makasolve pa ba? Suman, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, we can still solve for a certain quartile of a data. But, isn't it tiring? Dili ba siya kapoy? Isn't it time consuming? Di ba? Kapoy siya, tapos dakong oras ang makuha in solving. Kaya we have a lot of data, thousands of data. So, the question is, what should we do with that? Kaya ba ninyo mo-solve, anak? Di ba, dili? So, what should we do? Kung sa ato buhaton?
Group the data.
Yes, Mrs. Candalo? Please stand. Please stand.
Group the data.
Okay, very good. So, what we're gonna do is to group the data. Since we have thousands of data, the best thing to do is to group the data. For example, of a group data is this. So there are 3 students. So the data is score of graded students. So there are 3 students who got a score or grade within the interval of 95 to 99. And there are 12 students who got the score of 90 to 94, and so on. So any question about the group data? Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Okay. If you don't have any questions, so what is the difference between ungrouped data and group data? Kasi kalahian between group and ungrouped data. The ungrouped data, last natong discussion, which is 10, 9, and this is the group data. So what is the difference? Anyone? What is the difference? Wala? Okay, Mr. Marquez, do you have what is the difference between group and group data? Do you have any idea? Okay. Last discussion, we see that the ungrouped data are just raw scores. Right? Am I right? Raw scores. And as you can see in the illustration, the group data, you can see that the scores are in interval. Am I right? They are in the group po sila, in group. Sakto ba? So therefore, ungrouped data are just raw scores, while group data are scores that are in group or in interval or in class. So in this illustration, we have 5 classes. This is the first class. This is the first class. Then second class. Then so on. So we have 5 classes. So what do you think will be our lessons for today? Will be our topic for today? Okay, anyone? What is our lesson for today? Lesson for today? Quartile of group data. Okay, very good. And our lesson's objectives, who can kindly read? Mr. Marquez, can you please read our lesson's objective for today? Yes. At the end of... Okay. Bougainvillea.
Should be able to
illustrate
the
quartile.
quartile of group data. Calculate algebra
Specify
specify division of
quartile of group.
quartile group data. Interpret
Interpret.
the quartile value of data.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Marquez. So before we go on to that topic, we will first unlock some terms. So we have the lower class boundary and less than cumulative frequency. So who can please read the lower class boundary? Please read.
Lower class boundary is the average of upper limit of the previous class and the lower limit of the given class.
Okay, thank you. What about the less than cumulative frequency? Okay, Miss Hilo. Miss Hilo.
Less than cumulative frequency is the sum of the preceding frequencies of all the previous classes, begins from the lowest class to the highest.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have here a table. This is called a frequency distribution table. So as you can see, you have the scores and frequency, which is the data, group data. And also we can see the column of a lower class boundary and for less than cumulative frequency. So what we're gonna do now is to solve for the lower class boundary and the less than cumulative frequency. So based on the definition, okay, how we gonna solve for the lower class boundary? How we gonna solve for lower class boundary? Anyone? So the definition is that it is the average of the upper limit. So this is the upper limit, this one, and this is the lower limit.
It's the average.
So to get the lower class boundary, you must solve for the average of the upper limit of the previous class and the lower limit of the given class. For example, if this is the given class, what is its lower boundary? Ang sa lower boundary, ano nga class? We have 95. This is the lower boundary and the upper boundary. Okay. So in this class, the lower boundary will be 95. So to get the lower class boundary, you must get the average of the lower boundary of the given class and the upper limit of the previous class, which is unsay upper limit ani nga previous class? 94. So what is the average of 95 and 94? Average. How to get the average? You must just simply add, then divide on how many imong gi-add. So we have 94 plus 95, and then divided by 2. 95 plus 94, pila man? 189, am I right? And then divided by 2, we get 94.5. So that is the lower boundary of this class. We have 94.5. What about this class? How to get? We will just add this, kani, then divided by 2. So 89 plus 90 is 179. Very good. Divided by 2, we get 89.5. So that is the lower boundary of this class. So do you see any pattern? Do you see any pattern? 0.5. We will just subtract the lower limit with 0.5. Can see 95 minus 0.5, we have 94.5. 90 minus 0.5, 89.5. So, dili na ito mag-add kay it will consume a lot of time. So, let's just subtract this by 0.5, ang lower limit. So, 85 minus 0.5, 84.5. 84.5. 80 minus 0.5, 29.5. 75 minus 0.5, you have 74.5. And that's how we get the lower class boundary of the group data. Do you have any questions or clarifications? Any questions? Wala? And now let's proceed with the less than cumulative frequency. So based on the definition, how are we gonna solve for the less than cumulative frequency? We're gonna solve for the less than cumulative frequency. It says that it is the sum of the succeeding frequencies. We have here the frequencies. Yes? How are we gonna solve for the less than cumulative frequency? Can you please speak louder? Okay, add. Okay, to solve for the less than cumulative frequency, we must add the frequencies. Am I right? Okay, add the frequencies. But kung kan example, if we are looking for this cumulative frequency, kung sa ito i-add? 3 plus 12 plus 16 plus 10 plus 4. What about if we will just look for the cumulative frequency of this class? Kaninga class? 12 plus 16 plus 10 plus 4. Okay, very good. That's how we get the cumulative frequency. But para madali, to make it easier, we'll start at the bottom. So let's just copy 4. Copy 4. Since wala siya ubos nga frequency, then 4 plus 10, 14. So we'll put 14 here. Tapos 14 plus 16, 30. So 30 plus 12, 42. And then 42 plus 3 is 45. And that's how to solve for the less than cumulative frequency. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions or clarifications? Okay, good. And now, let us now solve for the first quartile of this data. Yes, first quartile. Since this is group data, ito last discussion it is ungroup data, and today we will solve for the first quartile of group data using this given data. So first thing to do to solve for it, we must first, of course, complete the distribution table. The next thing to do is to solve for the class of where does the first quartile belong. Since we have 5 classes, asa man na belongs the first quartile na class. So let's solve for that. The formula is that UK class is equals to K over N, Kn over 4. That's the formula. To get to know which does quartile 1 belong in class. So since we are looking for quartile 1, Q1 class is equals to, what is the value of K? 1. Very good. Since we are looking for quartile. And then times 45 divided by 4. Thus, 45 divided by 4 is equals to 11.25. So, si 11.25, asa ka na bilong na class? Tanawan lang ninyo ang less than cumulative frequency. Asa ka na belongs to 11.25. So this kani siya, if we were going to look for the class, ang kani siya is 1 to 4. 1 to 4, then 5 to 14, then 15 to 30, then 31 to 42, then 43 to 45. So where does 11.25 belong? In this class. Kani ba? Or kani? Kani no? Asa na belong? 80 to 84. So this is called the Q1 class. Diha na belong si quartile 1 na class. And then after solving for the class, what we do next is to solve for the value of the first quartile. How to solve for the value of first quartile? So we'll use the formula QK is equals to lower boundary plus quantity of Kn over 4 subtract less than frequency of class and divide. So that's the formula. So Qk is equals to lower boundary of the class plus the quantity of Kn over 4 minus the less than cumulative frequency before the class all over frequency of the class times the interval. Okay, let's solve. We are looking for the quartile, first quartile. So what is the lower boundary of the first quartile? Look for ato ni taawon nga kuan. Since the quarter 1 belong in this class, so what is the lower boundary? 79.5. Okay, very good. Plus Kn over 4, na-solve na nato, which is equals to 11.25. Kn over 4, di ba? So, ato lang i-copy si 11.25. Divided by 4. Pila may 11.25 divided by 4? Tapanday. 11.25 din siya. Then, subtract by the less than cumulative frequency before the class. Before the class. So, what is the cumulative frequency before the quartile 1 class?
4.
Okay, very good. We have 4. Since this is the quartile 1 class, ang before ng cumulative frequency is 4. All over the frequency of the class. Pila may frequency sa class, sa quartile 1 class?
10.
We have pila frequency sa quartile 1 class? Okay, 10. Times the interval. What is the interval? We have the interval 5. This is the interval. We say 75, 76, 78, 77, 78, and 79. So the interval is 5. So we have 5 here. So then let's solve. So 79.5 plus 11.25 minus 4 is equals to 7.25 divided by 10. Divided by 10, we have 0.725 times the interval 5. 0.725 times 5, ilan man? Sila. Yes, multiply. 0.725 times 5. We have, yes, 725. Ilan man? Ilan tayo?
1.525.
Ila?
1.525.
1.525. Okay, let's solve. 0.725 times 5. Now 25 to 10, 12, 31, 35, 36, 3. So 3.625. 3.625. Tapos add 79.5 plus 3.625. We have 25, 1, 3. So we have 83.125. What is 83.125? Unsa man na siya? It is the, okay, very good, value of the first quartile. So what it implies? What it implies? Unsa ka? So you have known that first quartile is separates the distribution, the 25% of the distribution, right? So what does it imply? Implication. Therefore, 25% of the students got the score equal or less than 83.125. Am I right? Am I right? Unsa to implication na niya? Ni ikaw unsa implication? Implication, what does it imply? What does it imply? It implies that 25% of the students, since this is the value of the quartile 1, 25% of the students got the score equal or less than 83.125. Okay, do you have any questions? Clarifications? Or asa naglibog dapit? Isama. Any questions or clarifications? Wala? Questions? Okay. In solving for the certain quartile of group data, first thing to do is what? First thing to do is to, of course, solve for the frequency distribution table first. Yes.
Asa di ay ang 25%?
25, di ba you have learned that, example, this is the data. You have learned that a quartile is divided into 4 distributions. So this is the 25%, quartile 1, then 50% ang quartile 2, then 75% ang quartile 3. So therefore, quartile 1 represents the 25% of the distribution. Okay, is that clear? Okay, what we gonna do first in solving for the group data? Ang sa unang buhaton? First, we must first complete the frequency distribution table. Kailangan na siya dapat. Anong kailangan na siya? Why we need to first complete the distribution table? Because we need the values of the lower class boundary and the less than cumulative frequency in solving for the quartile of data, of group data. Is it clear? Then, next to do is to solve for the class of where does the quartile belong. Class. So we have here 5 classes. So asa ka mabilong si quartile 1 na class. So in the given example, quartile 1 belong to this class. So what about the second quartile kaha? Asa ka mabilong? So we're gonna solve for it using that formula. So QK class is equals to Kn all over 4, where K is the n quartile. Ang atong ipangita ang quartile, and n is the total frequency. Any questions? None? Okay, next thing to do is to solve for the value of a quartile of group data using the formula QK is equals to lower boundary plus the quantity of kn over 4 minus the less than cumulative frequency of the previous class all over the frequency of the class times the interval. So I'm here. For K is the n quartile, total frequency, the n is the total frequency, then X sub LB is the lower class boundary, and then so on. So, kani siya. Kani niya solution. Example. Is it clear? Naglibog mo guro. Asa mo naglibog na banda? Asa naglibog banda? Sige nga. Isa sa mo. Mag-quiz niya ako later. Kasi hindi niya mo maka-answer. Sige na. Ask questions kung asa naglibog. Or asa dapat i-clarify. Okay, nakaya pumunta guys. Wala ka naglibog. So, unsa to'y formula sa pag-solve sa value sa group data? Quartile. What is the formula? In solving for the value of the quartile of group data. Itundo asang formula. Diba? Ito ang formula for solving for the value. Okay. Do you have any questions? Wala? So do you like to have another example? Another example? Okay. Let's yung kanigapon nga data distribution atong gamiton. So John, one of the students, has general average in third quartile. Should John be happy for it or should be sad for it? Help John to know his grade. So in your scratch paper, solve for the third quartile using this data distribution. Okay, solve na ako na. Solve. Then I need a volunteer to answer on the board. One to answer on the board. May skandalo. Solve the board. Silo or Insoy. Okay. Solve sa yung scratch paper. The third quartile. So, unsa tayo unang buhaton? Since we have na naman tayo frequency distribution table, first thing to do is solve kung asa na belong si third quartile na class. Asa ka na belong si third quartile. Then, kung matapos na kuha kung asa na class na belong si third quartile, then solve for the value of that quartile using the formula given. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes.